Hello and welcome back to Custom Gamer. My name is Daz and this is the show where we talk about level design while playing cool maps. Got another Quake 1 single player map for you today. It is called Q-Deck by FifthElephant, and it is a remake of the infamous Deck 16 from the Unreal and Unreal Tournament series. A map which has almost been remade as much as Aero Walk and Facing Worlds. It's one of those classics, I suppose. So he originally made this as a deathmatch map for 2 to 4 players and released it as such a couple of months ago, and then decided to remake it yet again into a full single player map. And for this he added quite a few new areas, added obviously a lot of secrets, and of course lots of enemies to try and kill you with. It's a fairly interesting map, so let's go and have a look. So I guess anyone that's played an arena shooter ever is probably familiar with Deck 16 in some respect. It's been made for just about every single shooter with an online mode out there, and even some that don't. It's just one of those classic maps that I don't think will ever die, much like Aero Walk and Facing Worlds and other such classic maps. It's also completely made in the new Trench Broom editor, and you can really tell in some areas in this map there's lots of like natural rock work, which is really easy to make in Trench Broom. A lot of complex kind of angles and various detailed architecture all over the place. I mean, visually the map is fantastic. The lighting's great, there's loads of detailing absolutely everywhere. There's really nothing to fault it with. Where I kind of had problems with it is that it's really cramped. There's a lot of kind of tiny ledges that are very easy to fall off of. There's lots and lots of precision footwork needed in this map to avoid a lot of damage, and I'm not really very good at that. I tend to slide all over the place in Quake. Some of it's down to just the player friction in Quake is a little bit lower than most other games, so you tend to slide around a bit anyway. And then it's just me kind of derping around, which really doesn't help. But what ends up happening is it's just unnecessarily stressful just getting around kind of basic navigation in the map, because you're constantly trying to stay on top of tiny ledges and walkways and things like that. It can be quite frustrating after a while, at least in my case. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that the map is actually shrunk down quite a lot from the Epic Games versions. It's probably noticeable if you ever played the map that these are a lot smaller. And I honestly think the original size would have been fine. It would have given you a lot more room to move around, but you know, I guess it was shrunk down in part for the deathmatch version, but I don't think it really works as well in single player. Like these rocky outcroppings here can be fairly difficult to move around on, like here, just falling into the slime all the time, derping around. There's some cool secrets though, as you've already seen a couple of them. I think I found 4 or 5 in this map overall. I spent a long time looking around for the last 2, but I really couldn't find them. There's the biosuit in the grate down below me here, but I could never work out where the button is to open it. I did like the grenade launcher secret right at the beginning, because it means you can skip a potential trap later on in the map to get a second grenade launcher. Whereas if you find the secret, you won't need to activate that, which is quite nice. It's an interesting way to use secrets to kind of help the player out if they're perceptive enough to find them. Now, this map is also pretty brutally hard on a hard skill. Generally, because the map is quite cramped, it's a lot harder to kind of dodge around and avoid a lot of damage. Especially in the final combat room, there's a lot of kind of narrow ledges and things like that, and you have to do a lot of precision footwork to avoid a lot of damage. It can be fairly difficult to do. Not impossible, but there's certainly a lot of challenge there. Yeah, you generally have to explore around a lot and find a lot of secrets to increase your survivability, so things like finding the mega health secret and the yellow armor secret, you can have a really tough time if you don't find these things. Another secret area under the lift. Classic location. This secret's cool because you can walk through here. Obviously, just stepping off the lift into this area, you'll walk through here naturally and you'll see the super nail gun stuck in this cage. And then you start wondering how you get to it, and you start exploring back through the environment to see what you missed. just standing there taunting the player. I like the idea of having kind of otherworldly enemies in the cells here, and then just having base enemies kind of around the base. It's a nice little bit of story. This area is pretty intense because you have to do the shambler dance with a high degree of precision to avoid getting stuck against a wall or something. It's always fun. Now things start getting a little bit more interesting. I'm not too keen on the Vor placement here because there's really nothing else that can come in and attack you, so you're just kind of left kind of sticking your head out around the corner, popping a grenade off and then hiding again. And you just rinse and repeat until it's dead. There's no real challenge there. It's just kind of a bit tedious. I think Vors are always best when they're kind of mixed in with other enemies, because then you're always having to do this balancing act of dealing with these other enemies while still avoiding Vor balls, and then you kind of have these decisions: do you take out the Vor first, or do you deal with these other smaller enemies first but risk being hit by a whole bunch of projectiles? Here's a mega health secret. Super helpful to get that. One of the things I did notice about some of the secrets on this map, especially after coming out of Sock's latest maps, is that the visual language used in the map to kind of denote these secret areas is quite lacking in places. It seems to be kind of scattershot all over the place. So there's a couple of obvious ones like floor panels that are sticking out and, you know, very obvious red buttons that you can shoot. That's all well and good, but there's like the mega health secret there that is just a grate in the wall, and if you randomly shoot it, then you'll find yourself a mega health. There's nothing really there to kind of tell the player like this is perhaps the secret. It just looks like another part of the level. Like the quad damage secret here I'm kind of on the fence on. I mean, it makes sense because it's a flickering light where there aren't really other flickering lights in the level, but it's so subtle it's really easy to miss, which, you know, it's probably by design, but I think I would have preferred perhaps a different light texture or something that stood out a little bit more. Because it took me ages to find that quad damage secret. So this is the final arena room, and this is where you probably really notice the Deck 16 layout here. It's kind of the classic room with all the ramps going from floor to floor. Again, it really does feel really small and cramped compared to the Unreal version. There's lots of height differences on the floors, like just little steps which just kind of get in the player's way, I think. Whereas in Sock's maps you kind of have very deliberate stairs and ledges that are kind of one way. Here it's just kind of lots of little steps which really serve little to no purpose. They just end up kind of annoying you. This final arena fight suffers from a couple of pacing issues as well, I think, so it feels like a couple of small fights kind of triggered together rather than one big fight that slowly escalates the way it should. There's a little bit of a pacing and flow issue here where the next part of the fight won't trigger until you go up the next ledge. I feel like it should just all trigger in one big go when you walk into the room. I found the best way to kind of handle this fight because it's fairly difficult, because you've got these shamblers up above with really no cover to hide behind when you're down here like this. So the best strategy I found is just to use infighting like this. So get the shambler to fight the Vor and then take out the shambler up above with your nail gun like so, and just let these two fight it out. Always fun with a bit of infighting. Place your bets now. But yeah, I did die quite a few times here. My first few times playing the map, mostly because I hadn't found the secrets, so I'd missed the mega health, I'd missed all the armor. Super nail gun helps a lot here as well. If you miss that secret, then you're going to be hurting quite a lot. Right, so that was Q Deck by FifthElephant. Beautiful level, lovely brushwork and lighting. Just didn't really enjoy the gameplay that much. I mean, it was fun in places, but for the most part it felt very, very cramped. And I wasn't a fan of the kind of precision jumping required in a lot of areas. But you guys might enjoy it, so I definitely recommend it. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time.